Breaking news. Breaking news. She is back. The biggest story, I would say, of the year in advertising.
She is Kristen Cavallo. She's heading back to the ad industry to be the CEO of Martin. That's the Martin agency.
That's right. Danny Robinson, current CEO, he's stepping away to pursue his passion in art. We were able to secure an interview, their first video interview since the announcement. Kristen Cavallo and Danny Robinson, we have that for you coming up here in a second. Gino, explain the enormity of the situation for people that don't understand.
It's Kristen Cavallo. She is the champion of the ad industry. She supposedly retired 2 years ago, Jack. She left the ad industry completely, hiked 400 miles to mark this transition, and then was the executive director of the Branch Museum. We thought she was gone forever, Jack.
We thought she was gone. She said, I am back. Omnicom pulls her back in. She will be returning as CEO of Martin. And why is that interesting? It's a Michael Jordan I'm back situation. She was the CEO of Martin. She led them to back-to-back Adweek Agency of the Year recognitions at the turn of the decade. And she said, I am coming back. And you will hear all about it here in our exclusive first video interview with Danny and Kristen from the Branch Museum to hear about the decision, what went into it, and how Kristen is looking to bring force, power, and everything that comes with that to Martin.
Let's do this. Well, we are here at the Branch Museum of Design in Richmond, Virginia for one of the biggest stories in advertising since we started covering this stuff, right, Jack?
That's right, Gino. Well said.
Thank you,
well
sir.
Said.
Thank you.
Well said.
Kristen Cavallo is coming back to the Martin Agency to be exact here. And Danny, you are heading out to do what exactly?
I am going to live my life as a visual artist, the rest of my life as a visual artist.
A visual artist. So that's what we're unpacking here today. And Kristen, what is your next role here?
I'm going to be the artistic director for the Branch Museum of Design and the CEO of the Martin Agency.
Look at that.
How exciting. I mean, where do you try to figure out, truly.
When we got the call, my jaw dropped and we flew out immediately.
Mm-hmm.
So,
well, it's your fault.
How so?
Because I did your podcast, and then 2 and 2 came together for some people at Omnicom, and next thing you know, I'm pulled back in.
Look at that. We'll take that. Hopefully that's recorded.
That's recorded for sure. Well, Danny, I guess the natural follow-up question would be, how did this all come together? You're obviously, moving on to follow some artistic passions, so leaving the advertising industry. I guess, how did this all come to be?
Well, I have always been a visual artist, so I think I'm going to live the rest of my life as one. I've lived my entire life almost as one. Been a painter since I was 12, and knew that at some point I was going to stop working in advertising and pursue a passion that I've long had. And I wasn't intending to make it a career. I was just going to paint because I paint for myself. I've never sold anything. I either give it away or hoard it. But my work caught the eye of a couple of gallery owners, and one of them in particular said, I'm interested in showing your work. And then she sent me this application to a residency because I'm not a known artist. I don't have a resume. She said residencies help. So I applied to one, and I applied to several, and assuming it'd take a couple of chances, a couple of times to apply to get in, and the first one I applied to, I was accepted.
Nice. Where is that at?
It is in France. It's in Luberon, which is in Provence, in France.
Starting to make sense here. It's starting to make sense here.
It is fantastic.
So I have work to do building up to that moment, but I'll be gone for a month, living in this 18th century townhouse in the middle of nothing.
Interesting. A once-in-a-lifetime opportunity,
Yeah.
And then you have this opportunity, and then what happens next?
Well, that was the question. What happened? Once the opportunity happened, and I wasn't trying to do anything immediately, the question was what happens next, and started thinking about the succession plan that was accelerated by about a year or so, and wondered at this very moment, knowing that I'm doing this, what's the right next step for Martin? Because as selfish as I can be sometimes, I have a love for Martin, and started thinking about and talking around the agency and then to our new boss at Omnicom, what might be the right next step at this moment. And there was a dream answer, that was thrown out, and then other answers. And the dream answer was Kristen. I said, well, I've learned a long time ago to just go for the dream. And the worst thing that could happen is you wake up and nothing has happened. So we said, well, let's try, and made a call. And it didn't take a lot of prodding. It was a few conversations, but I think Kristen made the decision in part, I'd love to believe, in an effort to help me move to the next place. She agreed to do this.
So we're going to get into Kristen's POV on all of this real quick, but I'm
You're
just
better.
curious. So like, what was going on in your brain? You know, you've always wanted to be an artist. This residency program came across your desk, if you will. I guess, like, why was this the right moment to say, I'm going to hit this application, I'm going to try it?
Well, I assumed I had to start now because maybe in a couple of years I'll get the opportunity. So I knew that this was the thing that was tugging at me. I mean, I've never stopped painting when I'm not working on painting. So I figured, well, if I'm going to make this a thing that I'm going to do, eventually retire in a couple of years, I should start now. Yeah. And if I get into a residency, I can take a couple of weeks off. It's just as vacation. So I started early, and I just wasn't prepared for it to happen so quickly. So it happened, and could not say no at that point.
Okay, understood. And for Kristen, you get this call. What makes you come back to Martin?
Well, in some ways, I don't feel like I left. A lot of my great friends are there. I spent 20 of my 30 years there, across town. I think a stronger Martin makes for a stronger brand center, a stronger creative community here, a stronger museum culture here. And so I always felt like I was still close to it, even though I just worked here. In fact, I had Danny's painting in my first exhibition when I joined the branch. So I feel like I recognized his talent pretty early on. In fact, when we were negotiating him coming into the CEO role after me, he said, I'll do it, but you have to give me Saturday mornings for piano and painting. And so you can't call me Saturday mornings. And so I think we've always kind of understood that that's a core part of who he is. And I'm just so happy that he gets to pursue it. And so, yeah, if I can help ease that, then make that transition seamless for all the people at the company I love and the brand that I love, then yeah, I'm willing to do it.
Absolutely. In the 2 years, I would, almost the exact day.
Like literally.
Yeah.
Is it really?
2 years, I can't help but hearken the comparison to Michael Jordan going and playing baseball for 2 years, coming back with the success.
He was awful at baseball.
I didn't necessarily go into that aspect of it, the skill portion.
I think that was a disaster when Michael Jordan went to baseball.
But
NASCAR, at least,
yes, fair enough.
You know.
Fair enough. I will give you that. Yeah, I'll give you that.
all
I
right.
think you're much better in the museum world than Michael
One
Jordan
would
is in the
hope.
baseball world. But
Are you sweating? I should be sweating.
Breaking and entering and sweating. Good Lord.
absolutely, that's what we do. But in those 2 years, what did you learn? What was some of the things and then maybe what brought you? What was like kind of tugging on you that made you
Sure.
realize you wanted to come back?
So many times I think when you're living in the bubble of advertising, there's always this narrative of extinction or this narrative of being marginalized or mathematized into invisibility. In the museum world, I get to see the lengths people are willing to go to be around art. I get to see the work land. I get to see people lean in. We just had an exhibition of amazing fashion and people drove 9 hours. They flew to be here. They talked about it. They brought their grandmother and their granddaughter and their kid and their spouse and their friends. And I'm watching in real life the lengths people will go to wrestle and be moved by a piece of creative. And then I think back to the advertising world where we've almost remove that entire narrative from our storyline. And I'm kind of armored up and ready to come back and fight for that in that sense, because I feel like it's a falsity and that some amazing advertising people have gone to become artists. Andy Warhol, Liechtenstein, Shepard Fairey, and then some other people have gone the other way. And it's a fluid two-way street. There's creativity. Just because something has a logo doesn't mean it's not art. And I've always believed we should get paid fairly for the work we do. The work should be valued. And I think consumers do value it, and they're willing to travel and move for it. So it's just a matter of convincing the people in the industry that what we do has value.
And you think that's a part of also your goal, is even just for the industry at large? It feels like, you know, it's always a part of the narrative, but the cynicism and the self-doom and gloom, do you feel like that part of it, and with you being so outspoken in your fight for creativity over the years, that maybe is a larger goal that might have drawn you back in?
Yeah, the bigger narrative. I certainly love Martin and will do anything I can to help it, to help the agency, to help my friends, to help the clients. Many of them are the same. But I believe there's a growing group of people, Patricia Corsi, Sir John Hegarty, who are out there talking about the value of craft and the value of creativity, and I am excited to join that fight again.
Heck yeah. So do you feel like you need to hike 400 miles to start this next transition like you did last time?
But I enjoyed that hike.
Because you likened it to breaking a habit. When we
did.
last talked on our podcast here, it takes 2 weeks to break a habit. Her strategist brain was working there, obviously. And you broke that habit of advertising, and now you're back in. I think that's just something that's fun to point out.
You're holding me accountable?
Holding you accountable. So it seems like we have to go hike.
You have to go back.
I have to go back. I will go back. We'll all go together.
Yeah, I mean, what's Danny? Are you gonna take some inspiration from?
I'm not
He
walking.
can hike.
Yeah.
I'm not walking anywhere now.
Well, I mean,
Thank you.
I think it is an interesting point, though, that, you know, Kristen kind of hands you the keys. You run the agency. Now hand the keys back. Thoughts on your time there? Obviously, you spent so much time being the CCO during some incredible moments, being the CEO for Martin. What's the feeling like right now, kind of coming full circle with it?
It's interesting. The feeling of calm is because I know who's coming in. The feeling of panic, when I wasn't sure, was also real. And I had to balance my selfish desire to do this thing that's pulling me with my love for Martin and wanting to make sure. I said, I won't leave if it isn't right, as much as this is important, and I'm going to do it at some point, but I'm not going to leave until we've figured out how this is going to work for the agency and for the people there. So now I am at peace, right? I'm at peace. I know how this goes because I've seen it. I know how the industry is going to react because I've seen it. I know the agency is going to react because I've seen it. And I can now go not worried that I didn't make the right decision for not just for myself, but for everyone that's behind.
Absolutely. And Kristen, this is not your first rodeo, right? You're coming back to this another round here. How are you feeling going into this round back at Martin?
I've got mixed feelings. I mean, I'm super happy. They're all the people I love. This is my team. These are my people. But I also feel like last time I was nervous when I left because I didn't know what I was going to. And now I know where I'm going. I'm coming right back here. And so I feel so lucky that I have found what my next chapter is, and that I'm grateful that I get to keep my toe in that water and stay on as artistic director, and I'm curating our third quarter exhibit, so that's super fun. But it also helps me going back into this knowing the next chapter too, so that I don't feel like I'm aimless a little bit. I know what I'm fighting for on both ends. I know what I'm fighting for in the ad industry, and I know what I'm fighting for in the art world.
Okay, so let's talk about the agency world a little bit more specifically. What do you feel like needs to stay exactly the same with Martin that you're not going to touch?
Well, the importance of craft, the holding creative at a high bar, the candor with which we can speak to one another, the investment on all sides, because you know that you're not just going to quit and go to another agency down the street. The commitment, those things all make Martin special and unique in an industry. But the things there are also things that are going to change. You know, Danny and I were talking earlier. I think sometimes the industry feels like it is on fire or disrupted because of all these new things coming in. But the truth is, sometimes I think the disruption and fire exists because we're trying too hard to hold on to what we used to be. And we need to change. And we need to change the way we get paid, the way the industry values what we do, the way the clients value what we do. And so from that standpoint, I'm excited about the chapter that comes next.
Yeah, you likened it to a tree like needing to shed its bark.
Oh my God, I wish my children listened to me as much as you do. Yes.
And the tree grows, you need to shed its bark. And that's the industry at large here. I'm just curious then, like, how will you make your little dent in that world within Martin to like hopefully echo to the larger industry?
I don't know yet. But that's my most honest answer. I'm going to get in, I'm going to listen, I'm going to speak up. I feel somewhat immune from fear in speaking up, so there's a confidence that comes from that. There's a confidence that comes from this not being my first rodeo, and that I know what I'm fighting for. So I think I'll be more vocal. I think I'll be more hopeful. I think I'll be maybe more insistent, a little bit more resistant to cave and some of the outside pressures. I'm going to demand more of the people around me. And I think all those things are okay.
Agreed.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah, that does sound good. The Kristen, I feel like, especially being on the podcast, very much an optimist about the industry. What do you say to people that maybe feel like the advertising industry has changed, or they feel compelled to leave the industry? What do you say to those people? Maybe they're a little bit younger, junior level.
I think the advertising industry has changed. I think it needed to change. I think it's always changing because new technologies, new ways of talking to people, to assume that it won't is the mistake. And I think if you're the type of person who's looking for predictability and certainty, this is not the industry for you. If you're the kind of person who thrives on creativity and creating something new, and who loves the fact that you're being asked to use your imagination at work, which, by the way, that's so rare and special, then this is the industry for you.
Danny, I have a question for you to switch gears a little bit. What do you anticipate the reaction will be like within the halls of Martin and then the wider industry, knowing what you know about Kristen, the agency, and the industry?
Good question, Jack.
That is a
Did
good
everyone
question.
hear that?
Everyone heard it. Jack asked that question. I anticipate a loud roar internally and externally. We won't hear the external one. We'll read about it though. The same kind of excitement and fervor around Kristen's first appointment. People love. This is weird because you're here. People love Kristen.
We can talk like she's not here.
I could talk to you and I'll talk to you.
Yeah, you can talk freely. We won't tell her what you say.
People love Kristen. The industry loves her too, because they need her, and a lot of people aren't willing to lean so far in to their beliefs, the way Kristen has. And I think because of that, and particularly now, the industry needs more voices, not fewer. And the agency knows, because believe me, I have thought through this a million times in a million ways and try to figure out what's the right thing. I am anticipating, sadly, and it's weird, are you cheering because I'm leaving and because she's coming? It's going to feel like that to me, like, oh, he's gone, she's here. They're going to cheer for Kristen.
But in fairness, I will tell you, 2 years ago when we did this, I was not planning to pack my boxes on that day and walk out. But the cheers were so loud. There was a video made. You can all watch it. Confetti through the roof. And I went right to my desk and thought, I should just pack up my stuff and go. And I did. I packed up all my things and left. And people were like, wait, we weren't expecting you to leave. And I was like, I wasn't expecting to leave. But the handoff had been seamless, and it was orchestrated that way. So, for the 6 years we led together, he was the chief client officer, he was the chief creative officer, and then he was the CEO by design. I moved him around to train him for that role. And so when he got the job, people were relieved, people were excited, they were rooting for him, they knew who he was, and I was able to try to figure out what was next. And I was nervous, but it's my job to get out of the way. And now we get to come back, and there better be confetti. I mean, I'm just saying. Just kidding.
So Danny, looking back at your tenure, what do you want to be known for your career at Martin?
That's a good question. It's not the first time I've asked, and I didn't have an answer the first time I've asked. Well, here's the reason I've stayed, not just in Martin, but in the industry longer than I probably thought I was going to. I thought maybe I would transition out to something else maybe 5 years ago, but every time I meet someone who, a young black creative, a young black account executive, someone who looks like me, or maybe not even black, but a typically marginalized group in our industry, who say, I really am here in part because I see myself in someone who has gotten further than me. So I've said it maybe many times the past 2 or 3 years, I'm here to continue to show people that there's a way, people who want to be in this industry and who have typically had a hard time getting in, who have a hard time navigating once they're in, to be able to, I don't want to be a role model, but I know that I am by default. I mean, I didn't set out to be a role model, but I take on that responsibility now and understand the importance of it. I think I want to be someone who has shown the way and shown possibilities for people who maybe wouldn't have believed before that there were possibilities. So, yeah.
I feel like you're continuing that on by chasing your dreams in this next chapter of your career. You're still showcasing that passion as a great leader.
Well, I'm a fan of doing what you feel compelled to do, whatever that is.
Absolutely.
Well, clearly Kristen has felt compelled to come back to Martin, so feels like both sides doing what you feel compelled to do. Gino.
I have two more questions total. Okay, so for Danny, what are you handing off to Kristen?
The same thing she handed off to me, actually, one part. An incredibly competent executive committee, a group of people who were here when Kristen was CEO, who were the reason that I was buoyed and did not go under the 2 years I was here, or 2 years I spent as CEO. They're still there, and they're still incredibly smart, capable. I say it over and over and over again. I would not have succeeded without the team around me. So she gets to have that fun. And an agency that's changed a little bit. I mean, 2 years doesn't sound like a long time, but we were acquired, which there are upsides to that acquisition, and that we have some amazing agency partners are now available to us. We have some amazing capabilities that are really, really, when we talk about having capabilities and be able to go to the agencies and pull in things that you don't have to help you get better, and look at the holding company that's invested in things that help us get better. Those are real things, and we've already benefited from finding ways to navigate those things. We've had other agencies being part of pitches. We've had capabilities that at the holding company level that we've been able to access. So she now has things that she had no access to 2 years ago, and I think she's going to find it surprising how far ahead they are with those capabilities.
New design system as well?
Yeah, she gets a new brand that we will not compete with at Cannes for the best brand of the year. So yeah, she's got the people, the clients who are committed to us, and she's got some things to play with, some toys that she didn't have. I think she's going to love it.
Kristen, was that, for you, like we mentioned, 2 years, a lot has changed with the acquisition. Was that in your head, thinking about, well, this is different, this is change, will this be something that I'll be able to navigate? Was there any consideration there when you made your decision?
I mean, sure. You have to, be thinking about all the different people that weigh in on your success. But really what I was most focused on was Martin. This agency that through this major acquisition, has managed to come out the other side intact. And I had another agency that didn't. So I do understand personally, intimately, how that was not a foregone conclusion. I mean, Lowe as an agency has been around a lot longer than the Martin Agency and DDB, and they didn't make it through. And so I fully recognize the how precious the Martin brand is, and also how strong the Martin brand is, because if it weren't those things, it would not have made it through. I don't think that they were going, it wasn't charity. The agencies that came out the other side were deserving and earned that place. And so I recognize that I'm inheriting that back. And in some ways, it's even stronger because it has gone through that whole process and come through the other side. And I hope the staff, I just want to remind the staff of that, you know, how special and unique and rare they are, but therefore the responsibility, because there are now fewer agencies out there, is greater.
You already answered my next question. I was going to ask, what are you inheriting this next round here? But I just want to do a side note, just with you, Jack. I think Kristen's going to be able to navigate whatever the bureaucracy might be that they're not talking about, just you and I.
Oh, yeah.
Like, she's going to be able to figure it out, kick some ass.
Yeah.
What she wants to do.
And if not, you guys, I'm sure, will call
I think
me.
people are.
Yeah.
Gino, bad news. There's something I need to tell you. They heard. So, well, anything else? Anything else from you? Anything else from you two that you want to tell the people back home?
I just want to say thank you, guys. I mean, thank you for always being positive. Thank you for trying to find the best in this industry and continuing to promote it. And thank you for thinking the story has worth and value. I think the more times we can show people that creativity does not only exist in advertising, but also exists outside the rest of the world, and that creativity in the rest of the world also comes back and positively impacts the ad industry, is a good thing. It's a great thing.
We are fans of both of you.
I want a sweatshirt,
Very much
though.
so.
We can. This is limited edition. This is one of, I think, 3.
Oh, okay.
We got one order. We didn't know how to work it. We didn't know how to get more than 3 sweaters, so we just put that on the back burner.
Okay.
But this is coming to you.
I think
That same
maybe.
one, right?
Yeah.
there.
You know what?
We could take it now.
Why don't you just take this off?
No, thank you both. We really appreciate it, and best of luck to you both.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Fantastic.
That was it. That was the interview, Gino.
I can't believe we got that. We flew to Richmond as soon as we heard about that. But remember, she is returning to a new Martin agency. They have new branding, but also new ownership now with the Omnicom merger, acquisition, whatever you want to call it. It's no longer IPG. So we'll see how she can navigate the bureaucracy. Jack, I've said in the interview, I think she could do a great job fighting through layers there and getting Martin back to the top.
Yeah, once again, I imagine this news will be nothing short of inspiring and motivating for so many people that look up to Kristen. You know, you talk about a legacy that she has of defending creativity and defending the industry. Someone who is a natural-born optimist. Someone, I think that right now in advertising, there's a lot of doom and gloom going around. It's a moment that I think people will rally around, and just excited. I think it's an exciting moment for Martin. I think it's an exciting moment for Kristen. It's an exciting moment for Danny. It's an exciting moment for us. It's an exciting moment for the industry.
That's right, and she will be back on the show, I'm sure, as new advancements are made with Martin Agency.
That's all. That's all we got. That's the show. That's the week. We are here Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, LinkedIn, X, YouTube, live, 11 a.m. Eastern. Thanks for spending time with us, and we will see you next week.